Hello and welcome to another episode of ForgeTalks. I'm joined today by a very special guest, Senior Director of Product Marketing, Tim Bedard. Hello, Tim.
How's it going, Fraser? Thanks for having me.
I'm going well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Excellent. So Tim is something of an expert on identity governance. He's wicked smart when it comes to identity governance. And I know what you're thinking, identity governance, like, I can't wait to hear more about this. And Tim, so we're actually talking today about identity governance fatigue, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we're here to talk about the fatigue that's going on within the identity and access management governance market today.
And so for anyone who's not completely clear, what is identity governance fatigue?
So, over the past decade or so, organizations have gone through many different stages of their identity journey. So depending upon, the size and maturity of your organization, you're probably in one or a few different phases. You could be in the governance phase, automation phase, zero trust phase. The process, that you're in, you probably have stalled because of the, not because of your limited resources or from a lack of trying. It's really your lack of progress is probably due to the limitations of your existing identity governance solution today. So, and you probably think to yourself, why is that?
Right.
And it's because, these traditional identity governance solutions have failed to deliver on their requirements or the original promise of automation. So,
Right.
They need a model that actually provides them that full visibility into who has access to what and why. And also, the elimination of manual access requests and approvals and, certificate or certification rubber stamping. And that's the reason why, you need a new model that, that can grow dynamically with the organization itself.
Yeah. Okay. And so you kind of touched on it a bit there, but why exactly are existing governance solutions falling down?
So there's really four primary reasons why they're falling down. The first one is they are identity silos. And what that simply means is that these traditional identity governance solutions are only integrated with a few authoritative sources, like your Microsoft Active Directory or your company's HR system, such as like Workday. Mm-hmm. So these limited integrations, result in poor access visibility and lack of consistent access visibility across the entire enterprise. So as a result, what you get are these mini islands of identity across your whole organization. The second reason is you have operational efficiencies, and these traditional identity governance solutions are meant to automate these access requests and approvals and certification reviews. The reality is quite different. Instead, your teams are so overwhelmed with these requests and approvals and certifications, they end up manually approving all these access requests and rubber stamping the certificates, certifications themselves. And that ends up, with over provisioning of user access privileges across the entire enterprise. And then the other two reasons are really tied closely together is there's really no context. When you have single visibility into an authoritative source, that's great. But, when you need to look at it holistically, organizations struggle to determine what users need access to, what access they have, and why that access is needed. So without that universal visibility, that enterprise-wide visibility and context across the entire enterprise, those organizations are blind to those inappropriate user access privileges and potential unauthorized access. And the last part, four-part question here is, these identity governance solutions have provided tools like role mining to help organizations achieve better operational efficiencies and compliance. Now, while role modeling has helped better align users with the right access rights, the role model, becomes very stale and outdated the second it's implemented. The reason why that is because organizations change every hour, every day, every week, and every month and every year. So as a result, you have outdated access rights and privileges and roles and entitlements from your identity governance solution. And that, leaves organizations open to more security risks and potential data breaches themselves.
Yeah. I was going to say, it sounds very secure. Not so
Not
much.
so much.
So, how do organizations then overcome this identity governance fatigue?
Well, like I mentioned before, one of the things that, the security and risk teams are experiencing today is just they're exhausted, they're fatigued, they're manually reviewing and approving these access requests and rubber stamping certifications themselves. So, it's the equivalent of, as an analogy, if you ever go and buy a house, the first thing you do, whether you go to your bank or the lawyer office, they hand you this folder, right? And this folder is what you're going to sign over the next hour to 2 hours, right? So
Yeah.
they hand you this, right? And they go, okay, this is what I want you to read, right? I want you to read all this, okay? And then they want you to take and sign every single page for the next hour. Well, I can tell you from experience and having bought a few houses over the years, by the time you get to the 5th page, you're pretty much fatigued and exhausted and don't want to be there, right? So what you end up doing is you end up signing blindly, which is the equivalent of taking, a rubber stamp like I have here and doing that for your access approvals and rubber stamping your access certifications themselves. You end up putting the contract down and you just start, stamping. And that's what people are doing today. And that's the wariness. Yeah. So how do you overcome this? How do you get past this problem? You have to look at doing things, you have to look at doing identity with a new modern approach, right? And that's about bringing, artificial intelligence in identity analytics that allows you to overcome this fatigue, right? It's about the automation of that. So what ForgeRock provides is the ability to give you real-time, continuous enterprise user access visibility, control, remediation. And by leveraging, artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques, we can analyze all your identity data, such as accounts, roles, entitlements, and others, in order to provide you and identify those risk blind spots. What this really does is it helps provide a wider and deeper insight into those risks associated with user access themselves. So when you're going in and you're actually, doing a certification campaign review, you don't get this file anymore. Okay, what you get are just the ones. Maybe you only have 10 things to look at. Well, if you've got 10 things versus a couple hundred pages, you're probably going to stop and look at them and sign off and look at the details, right? You're not going to take the old rubber stamp and start rubber stamping really fast because, if you do that enough, maybe you get a little carpal tunnel as a result. So we don't want that. So another nice thing about ForgeRock's Autonomous Identity is that it allows you to integrate with your existing identity infrastructure itself. So it is nice because by plugging into that actual infrastructure, so whether it's another identity management product, an identity governance, Active Directory, an LDAP store, an SQL database, whatever it may be, this can actually bring together and provide you a complete view of your user access landscape itself. Okay, right. And that can actually tell you, through its highly accurate models, what good access is and what it shouldn't look like, right? Unlike, your legacy identity governance solutions that are based on static roles and rules and peer group analysis, Autonomous Identity, provides you that full landscape visibility based upon your organizational data, right? It's free from any type of bias. There's no human, that you get out of human-derived rules and roles and other solutions. It's actually, based upon what you have in your actual network itself.
It feels like such a huge problem, but great to hear that like ForgeRock is, as you say, like trying to take steps to make it more efficient, more secure, more safe. We've heard about AutoID before, that we obviously did a full ForgeTalk episode on that as well. Sounds like AutoID would be a saving grace here, right? Like a golden ticket.
Yeah.
how does AutoID help this issue then of identity governance fatigue?
So, from a differentiation perspective, there's three things that I would highlight here. First is global visibility. All right. So by leveraging that AI machine learning in those identity analytics, like I said before, we collect and analyze all your identity data, okay, from diverse identity governance and infrastructure solutions, right, to provide you that enterprise-wide visibility of the identities themselves, right? What they have access to, and more importantly, why, right? This approach allows those security and risk teams, that contextual insights into the low, medium, and high risk user access, at scale. And then the other thing that's worth mentioning is, we're data agnostic. And what that means is, we contextually examine all the identity related data, identify and recommend, the right level of user access rights themselves. Mm-hmm. And it provides the ability to identify and apply the appropriate, birthright or leaver user access rights to, accounts, applications, systems, roles, and more. And this process really reduces the overall request volume. It brings it down by predicting appropriate user access at the right time to the right resources themselves. And then finally, what I would probably say is one of the bigger things is our transparent AI. So unlike those other black box, identity governance solutions, mm-hmm. Autonomous identity allows you to fully comprehend how and why those risk confidence scores are determined. Okay, we visually help you explain and present low, medium, and high risk confidence scores together, so those risk and security professionals can contextually understand what key risk indicators were met, and more importantly, why. Okay. And this AI-driven approach, recommends risk-based identity remediation updates based upon your enterprise-wide confidence scores themselves.
Okay, that all makes sense. So what are the benefits then of managing your identity governance in this way?
So at the highest level, what it allows you to do is it allows you to increase your operational efficiencies. It helps accelerate decision making. Mm-hmm. It allows you to maximize, your investment in your existing identity governance solutions.
These are all good things.
And at the end of the day, what it does is it allows organizations around the world also to allow it to be, achieving continuous compliance. It allows them to accelerate access to their users and also enables their workforce. And it does that through a number of different ways. So, mm-hmm. Expediting the access request approvals through the automation and the AI, and that helps accelerate access to applications and systems for new users or existing users. It also helps to automate, access cleanup. Anything that's not, deemed appropriate is taken away. And it also, again, eliminates that lovely, that certification rubber stamping. We want to kill that, right? And then finally, as a result, it really helps you improve your top line revenue growth, because now you can make sure your risk and IT folks are spending time on more higher priority projects and tasks, mm-hmm. and something going across the organization can only help drive down costs itself.
Yeah. Well, those are some pretty substantial benefits. Excellent sales pitch there. Guys, if you're having these issues with identity governance fatigue and you want to find out more about how ForgeRock can help you manage it, then feel free to get in touch. The contact details are all on the screen right now. But for now, I'll just say, Tim, thank you so much for joining me today and for taking us through this.
Thank you very much, Frazier. And there's one thing I can say, let's kill that rubber stamp.
Let's kill the rubber stamp. Okay, guys, and we'll see you next time.